Hey there, this is Coach Steve from TrenchTraining.com, and today I want to talk to you about different types of coaches. We're going to go over 5 types of coaches and discuss how you can deal with those 5 difficult types. Okay? All right, so the first type we're going to talk about is the yeller. We're going to call him Screaming Steve. Now, most of you know I'm not much of a yeller when I coach, but that said, there are times when obviously coaches yell for the right reason, but yelling can be a difficult thing to manage as a coach because I think some coaches feel if they're not yelling, they're not coaching. And really what you want to make sure you're doing is teaching while you coach. And if that means, yelling is your style, then it's your style. But one of the things you have to understand too is recognize what you're yelling out on the field. If you're yelling block, tackle, make a play, those things aren't really helping a player because they're not instructing them on what to do. I think those are just ways of getting people's attention rather than actually coaching. And if you're going to yell those things and not immediately follow it up with instruction, then you're really going to do your coaching a disservice. You're going to do your kids a disservice. So one of the things that I want to tell parents too, or players, when dealing with a coach that yells, understand this. I was given this advice a long time ago, and it's, coaches don't often yell because they're mad at you. I mean, that does happen, but most times coaches are yelling because they're trying to teach you. They're trying to make you better. And one piece of advice I always got was, if a coach stops yelling at you, that's when you need to worry. All right? Because, they're going to yell and give attention, and they're going to talk and instruct and teach, the players that are the most receptive and the players that they feel have the best chance to improve. That's just how it goes. When you have a big team setting, coaches are going to spend the most time on the coaches they feel need the most instruction or have the best chance of improving. So if you're a good coachable player, then you have to learn how to deal with that yelling and realize that it's not generally because they dislike you, it's actually because they're trying to make you better. So that's just one little tip about Screaming Steve and the yelling coaches. All right, our next coach is Negative Ned. And this is the one that really I have the most trouble with, and that's coaches that lead with negative negative comments or negative instruction. And that is always telling you what you're doing wrong and never praising. And one little quote that I like is, criticize softly and praise loudly. When you really want to make a big deal when kids do things the right way, they make a great play, you want to make sure you praise them as loudly as you can, because that's infectious. That positive attitude is infectious. And if you lead with the negative and you're only telling kids what they're doing wrong, even if you have good instruction behind that, it's not going to sink in and it's not going to have the effect you want it to have. So you really want to make sure as a coach you lead with the positive things and then work in the instruction and teach them, maybe a correct way to do it. If a kid's going and making a reach block and you say, oh, you know what, Steve, your feet were great on this play. Next time you need to get those hands across. That's a much more positive thing than saying, Stark, I can't believe you missed that block. What are you thinking? Those things just aren't productive. And it's going to put kids on the defensive, and it's going to make them learn less and be less open to learning. One thing that you need to do with your athletes, because they're going to get defensive when this kind of thing happens, is tell your athlete to focus on the instruction. All right, don't focus on those negative comments. They're often there to get your attention, the coach getting a player's attention, than to really be meaningful. So focus on the instruction. Hopefully your coach, even if he has negative comments, has good instructional things to say after those comments. So have your player focus on those. All right, third coach we're going to talk about is Loophole Larry. Loophole Larry is very concerned with winning the championship of whatever it is you're playing. 5th grade, youth football, up through the levels. But what Loophole Larry does is he looks for every little nuance in the league handbook to find ways to win games. And I've seen this happen in firsthand, and the obsession about winning, and oh no, I can use this player this many times, or whatever it might be. Those are things that really kind of tries your patience, and that's what I would say is try and use patience. One way to kind of combat this would be try to get more involved. And be another voice on that team. That can be good for any of these types. If you have time to be involved, then get involved and add a little bit different personality to the mix. But this is a great chance to teach your athlete patience, because Loophole Larry, he's generally taking a lot of time at games. He's spending hours of game planning things that are kind of on the edge of what you should and shouldn't do. So just use patience and try to get involved to help that out. The next coach is Know-It-All Norman. All right, we've all met know-it-alls, and they're not much fun often. They can be very difficult to deal with. One thing I'll say is, you have to make a judgment again of how much you can be involved in your athletes' sports. So this is another place where jumping in and helping can really kind of dampen a know-it-all. And these guys really they know the game inside and out. At least they think they know the game inside and out. They don't like to take advice from anybody else. That can be difficult. What you can do as a parent is try to offer your help to run things in that coach's practice. If there's a drill that you can help work with, or if you can help line the kids up, or run something, that might help, because a lot of times if you have competent adults or people that understand sport around a know-it-all, it tends to dampen them a little bit. So that's just one tip on how to deal with that. The last coach is Casual Carl, and Casual Carl, he means well. He's out there, and all coaches mean well. I really believe that. It takes a special person to be a coach. Not everybody does it, and the one thing I say is, put up or shut up. If you don't want to be a coach, then it's difficult for you to be real critical. But a super casual coach can cause problems, especially with the interaction on a team. And these are the things you got to be careful about with Casual Carl, is your team getting out of control, kids getting hurt because there's no discipline, those kind of things. That is a spot where maybe Casual Carl isn't as good at organizing or managing or disciplining a team. If you can help or get a few parents together and actually help with that part of it, there are great coaches that are real good at instruction but can't manage the kids. And that's where, again, jumping in and helping is a way to help with that. So, all right, well, I know you've probably got other types of coaches. I'd love to hear about them. Make sure you comment and let us know about some of the experiences you've had with coaches and maybe how you've dealt with it. We'd love to hear that. Also, be sure to get one of our free memberships. You can sign up right on our website. All you need is a name and email address. For that, we have all kinds of exclusive content. We're going to be adding it all the time. Right now, we have our Parents Guide to Recruiting. We have a youth sports beginners workout. We have Football 1-on-1, which is a great place to send somebody that knows nothing about football to learn the positions and everything. And then we also have a private Facebook group, which gives you access to our coaches basically anytime you want, and exclusive live content in there as well. So I hope you enjoyed and got some value out of this post. If you did, please like, comment, and share. Until next time, play big.